We are extremely excited to be ushering in the unharmable movement, as we have decided to call it. And I thought, TJ, maybe it would be good to lead with um, what we're speaking to when we talk about unharmable, um, and maybe just to preface it with a little conversation or a little background. You and I had met a couple of months ago, and we were talking about the future of conscious recovery and all the different arms of conscious recovery and all the things that the areas in which we're working. And one thing that really came to my mind was that so many people that come in contact with conscious recovery, whether that be in residential treatment, whether it be in an outpatient program, or they come to our recovery meetings on Thursdays, or they even just read the book, um, we consistently hear the same feedback, which is, I wish this was everywhere.
Mm.
And and we hear that from a lot of professionals too. Like, we've worked with clinicians that have been in the field for 30 years, and they say, oh my gosh, if only this was everywhere, if only we had this way back when. And I know for me, even in my decade of recovery, I think, wow, I wonder what impact would it have had if I had conscious recovery 8 years ago, say. And so that was a big part of the conversation, was kind of this recognition of all this different feedback.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm thinking of a quote. It's a Zen proverb that says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time to plant one is today. And I love that because it is interesting that we have so many people that are really excited about conscious recovery. And what makes it really different is this piece of being unharmable, which we'll come back to in a moment. But yes, it's easy to go back and say, wouldn't it have been great? Because I think about this, like, wouldn't it have been great if this would have been around when I got sober 34 years ago? And wouldn't it have been great if treatment programs would have been doing this for the last 30 years? One person's coming to mind at Azure Acres that said, just between you and I, just between you and me, I was getting a little bit stagnant, or feeling like, oh, it's all kind of the same, relapse prevention, CBT, DBT. And he was looking for something fresh. And when we started using conscious recovery, he said, finally, this is something that's new and different. And it re-energized him to do his work. So, of course, I think it's important to also talk about what we mean by #unharmable and why it's so important. So many people who have addiction or people in recovery view themselves in some way through the lens of brokenness. Clinicians, counselors, sponsors all have so often either been trained or taught, you might even say programmed, to look at the person they're sitting in front of who is coming out of an addiction who is in recovery through the lens of broken. What's wrong with you? How do I help you fix it? So we're coming in with conscious recovery and the unharmable movement with a very simple but profound idea. And that profound idea is the basic first principle of conscious recovery. And that is, underneath all addictive behavior is an essential self that is whole and perfect. And you and I talked about, how do we let people know what we're really up to? And we came up with this idea of unharmable because you and I hear ourselves saying over and over again, what if there's a place within you that's unharmed and unharmable? So that's really why we're here today, to talk about unharmable as a movement. A ripple becomes a wave as each of us recognize there is a place within us that is unharmable. That becomes a ripple effect. And you and I have some big intentions, and that is to be a part of shifting the entire paradigm of the recovery movement.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of this for me, the unharmable, the push for us to kind of create this ripple, a lot of it for me came from our recovery meetings on Thursday night. And I absolutely love our conscious recovery meetings, and being amongst all our peers in recovery and being able to look at ourselves and our experiences with a little bit of a different perspective. And one of the things that we've been in conversation about with people in recovery is when they read uh, in conscious recovery, when they read the last paragraph of the book, and when we close the meeting with a reminder of the truth that you are whole, that you are perfect, and deserve a life filled with love and joy and curiosity. These very basic principles have a massive effect. And even though during these times that we're in, I feel like social media is so saturated with direct messages to people that are on social media, right? Like be grateful and blah blah blah. Even though there's so many messages out there, I felt this really deep push, this drive to expand our work of this reminder of the truth beyond just our Thursday night meetings. And so what we're doing with that is a lot of really practical stuff. And I'm really, really excited to get into all that. And I think the first thing I want to start with is we've had so many people in the field say, "What can I do to help?
Right.
How can I be part of this shift?" And I think that a lot of people are really excited around conscious recovery because it is a very fresh perspective. It's just it's not radical. It's not so different. But it is powerful and there is a shift there. And so one of the things that we really want to focus on is how to bring people in to conscious recovery to help spread the movement. And did you want to talk about that at all, TJ, before I get into what it looks like?
Sure, absolutely. I think that being in recovery myself for 34 years and being in the field for 12 years now, kind of behind the scenes, honestly, a lot of people are saying, we really want something new, we want something fresh. And I also think that there are many amazing counselors and therapists that are already really aware of what gets created when we look at someone as broken. There is, in a lot of recovery circles, there's a strong focus on, I have this lifelong illness that I can only have a daily reprieve. We're not really here to debate that. What we're here to say is that and what happens when. You and I love the questions. As a matter of fact, we've made fun of each other on some of our videos where it's what if, what if, what if. But I love the what if and I love the what gets created when. And really, that is my own personal litmus test for my life. What gets created when I hold this thought? What gets created when I hang out with these people? What gets created when I do this? And in terms of the unharmable movement, the question is profoundly simple. I'm going to give two questions. What does it create when you view yourself as broken? What might it create if you were to recognize there's a place within you that is unharmed and unharmable? We know that trauma is a root cause of addiction. In conscious recovery, we identify that as the first and fundamental root cause of addiction. And a lot of us, because of our traumatic experiences, believe that we are broken. So what we're coming in with in this movement is a recognition that we have a traumatic past, but we are not our traumatic past. I have core beliefs about myself and the world, but that's not who I fundamentally am. And the what if question is, what if I were to really understand that underneath all of my behavior, there's still this place that's unharmable? So often, I myself included, I spent the first decade of my recovery believing I was a victim to my past. Being able to heal that past and recognize I have this experience, but I'm not that experience, was such a profound shift in my life that it became my life's purpose to bring that to the world. And that may sound like a really big purpose, but that is the genuine truth for me. There was a point in my life when I realized that it was time for me now to be part of ushering in this new message. I'm not alone in this. You're not alone in this. There is a groundswell of a movement of people recognizing that what gets created when I view myself as broken is more brokenness in myself and the world. What gets created when I view my clients, my sponsees, my friends, my loved ones, my family members as broken, and what might happen if we were start to recognize first that there's a place within us that's unharmable, and then to start recognizing that we can start to see everyone in the world through that lens. Can you imagine for a moment if all of us took a deep breath right now and really knew that? What would happen to what we call problems? What would happen to the political landscape, to social media? So that's our vision. That's our mission. It's a big one, and we're up for it. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said. And if I could add on to that, it is a really big mission, and I think that's really why it became so clear that we wanted to bring as many people in on it as we can. And we had a meeting, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, and a lot of the people that were with us are in recovery, and some of them are in the field, others aren't. And a common theme was I want to feel like I can be empowered. I want to feel like despite my past and despite my addiction and despite my trauma, that I can move forward, harnessing my own power and inner wisdom, and do the same for other people. And that's really where I was initially really attracted to conscious recovery, was that I felt as though for years I had been trying to tap into something deeper, and I wanted a message that I could use to help other people tap into a deeper level too.
Yeah.
And so of course we have the Conscious Recovery book and the workbook, the curriculum for residential treatment, for outpatient, and online courses, and all these things. And while that's a lot, and while it serves so many people, we also felt like we wanted to create something where if you like conscious recovery and want to share the impact it's had on your life with other people, and provide them with a tool like conscious recovery to assist them in deepening their own recovery, we wanted to come up with some stuff to enable people to do that. And so what we're here to announce excitedly today is the launch of our new website. So we did a total overhaul of consciousrecovery.com, and it is in beta. So we invite everybody to go check it out, and also appreciate patience with the little nuances and things that need fixing, of course, because as many hours as we put into this website, we know that there are going to be things that we didn't catch. So we appreciate patience. And also, I just want to, from a creative standpoint, encourage people to look at it first on a tablet or desktop, because we put a lot of work into the aesthetic of the site. And while it's tempting to look at it on your phone, it's definitely not the same experience. And so personally, I'd love it if the first time you saw it was on a desktop or a tablet. And a big part of the site is bringing all of these wonderful arms of conscious recovery under one roof, having them all accessible in one place. And also, if you go to consciousrecovery.com and go to the Unharmable page, you can see it up in the drop-down menu. It's under About Us. And the first 25 people that sign up will get an Unharmable starter kit that we're calling it. And what it's going to include is a couple of the rubber bracelets that say Conscious Recovery and Unharmable. And I personally love the bracelets because I get asked about the ones I wear all the time. And so not only does it serve as a really good reminder for ourselves when we look down and see it, but also it serves as a very gentle way of spreading the message to other people. And so along with those bracelets, we're going to send a pamphlet that's going to have some information related to conscious recovery and ways in which you can be part of our Unharmable movement. now. And TJ, I swear I'm going to pass it to you shortly. But one more thing on that, I want to note that we are doing the first 25 for free. So if you're at number 26, that doesn't mean you're out of luck. It just means that there might be a little bit of a time gap because we only have so many kits to start with. And we really wanted to honor the first 25 people that visited the site and signed up. And then after that, we're going to have it available in the store on consciousdiscovery.com, along with a lot of other branded merchandise like hats and shirts and hoodies and all that good stuff. Because I don't know about you, TJ, but people have been asking me about that stuff for like a year. So that's my bit on that. TJ, what do you have to add?
Well, I want to add a couple of things. One, we want to really hear from you right now. So if you're watching us live, and I'm hoping my friend Jeremy here has his phone handy, that he can look at how you're commenting on Facebook on our Conscious Recovery page, because we really want to be in conversation. That's what we really got clear about, that this is a movement. You know, affirmations have been a big part of my life and a big part of my recovery. I didn't know I was walking around with a narrative that sounded something like, why does this keep happening to me? What's wrong with me? I can't believe I keep doing this. And when we can flip that to I am unharmable. I am whole and perfect. I deserve a life filled with love and connection. This is one of the powerful messages of conscious recovery. And we offer in the book, in the workbook, in these courses, a way to start to shift our perspective about ourselves in the world so that we can start to recognize I am unharmable. Now, what happens when we live this is that it is a ripple effect. That's why we say a ripple becomes a wave, because what we want to create and what we are creating and what we're asking you to be a part of is being a part of this movement where you can start to recognize that there is a place within you that's unharmable. And just imagine for a moment handing your friends the bracelets, the sweatshirts, the hats, and more of us start to be in this exploration of what it means to be unharmable. So yes, we love that it's connected to conscious recovery. We hope that conscious recovery is in every treatment program in the world. We want every person in recovery to have a book and a workbook. But what we're really looking to do here, and I'm just going to be really transparent, I believe probably I'm not going to be on planet Earth forever. There are people who believe we might be able to live forever. There are scientists who believe we can live to be 200 years. There are people on the planet right now that probably will live that long, but I'm guessing that I might not be here forever. So I want to leave something, and that's just my truth. I want to have an impact on the planet of being part of this ripple that can become a wave where we are moving away from the judgment, the division, the divisiveness, the fear that we're experiencing in our culture, and step into, yes, all of that's happening in the world, but I know who and what I am. I am unharmable. And as I believe that, as Jeremy believes that, as consciousness starts to become this ripple effect, I'm thinking of our friend Jen Carvalho. She's down in San Diego. She's unharmable, right? Every person that we interact with, that does become a ripple effect. I could name so many people that are part of this movement now in this recognition that we no longer need to see ourselves as broken. And it's profoundly practical to me. What gets created when I believe I'm broken? Brokenness. I see it everywhere. So we're not talking about denying what's happening in the world. We're not talking about not being accountable for our behavior. We're not talking about not feeling the feelings of what it was like if we had extreme trauma or any kind of trauma, because being born on planet Earth is a traumatic experience. Unless you came into a family system, a school system, a playground where everyone was saying you're a whole and perfect being, we were traumatized by hearing messages of our own not enoughness. So we're not talking about ignoring or pretending or bypassing. We're talking about yes, and in the midst of that, there's still this precious little place within me that is unharmed and unharmable. We come into this world as whole and perfect spiritual beings, and we get programmed to believe that there's something fundamentally wrong with us. When I believe I'm broken, I see brokenness throughout the world. We're seeing that at a heightened level right now because of technology. And so we're using this technology at this moment to provide a different message. And as more and more of us recognize that we can use ourselves as an example, and yes, even technology, to spread the message of love, of connection, of oneness, of recognizing the unharmability within each and every one of us, we start to create not only a ripple effect that becomes a wave, but instant shifting on the planet. That's how consciousness works. I'm just deeply humbled and grateful to be a small part of this movement that's underway on planet Earth.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think with that, you mentioned that the movement and the unharmable hashtag, while they are a piece of conscious recovery for sure, I do agree that both of us view it as something much bigger than that.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to be able to empower people to spread that message with ease and with actual materials and assets to assist that. And so I know for me, some of the most powerful experiences early on in my recovery was being gifted a big book and being invited back. And when, obviously addiction is, it's definitely born out of and continues to strengthen the feeling of isolation. I remember feeling so alone and so on an island. And even when I was sober for a few weeks or a few months, I felt very alone because to me, I was the only one going through that. And so I remember the first time I was in a room and a man came over to me and gifted me a big book. I remember how much that meant to me. And on another occasion, a woman said, "Hey, I hope to see you back on Tuesday." And just those little things meant so much for me in my recovery. And we were really exploring what it would be like if we had some tools like that too. And so, of course, we're excited for Conscious Recovery merch. I can't wait to have a hat. My Clean Cause hat is cool, and they have an awesome mission getting people into treatment, but I'd love Conscious Recovery on there. And so we're really excited to get to roll that stuff out in the store. But to be honest, I'm much more excited about the idea of seeing people with the bracelets that I don't know, and just knowing where they're at. And I think that, like you said, this consciousness can spread. And so for people who are really interested in being a part of that and playing a role in that, we are excited and honored to have you join us. The best way to do that is to jump onto the new website and fill out the little form. We make it really easy. And we're not going to spam your email or anything like that. But get in touch with us through the website so that we can get you this kit and we can start the movement. I think additionally to that, we are really excited to deliver the content that you guys really want, that you find valuable on the site. And so if there are things as you're browsing through the website and you have an idea of something that would be cool or something you'd like more of, also drop us a line on there and let us know so that we can get it added. We really, in one of the driving forces behind the new website is trying to make it really easy for anybody to implement conscious recovery into their life. So whether you own a treatment program, whether you're the CEO of a treatment program and you're curious about integrating the curriculum, whether you're someone in recovery and you want to learn more about the meetings, or you want your hashtag unharmable starter kit, or whether you're just someone who read the book and you thought it was really interesting, there's something for everybody on the site. And we took a lot of time to make sure that it's very easy to integrate conscious recovery into whatever aspect of life you prefer. Do you have anything to add on that, TJ?
Yeah, just, this has been a profound movement. And I just want to say, Jeremy is being slightly humble. He created the website. He's a master at it. It's amazing to me what he can create versus what I can create. So I get to be the visionary, and then he gets to take that and bring the message to a lot of people right now. And I want to talk about some of the people that have come to conscious recovery and what it has meant to them, because I do think that it's important to recognize the impact this is having on people's lives. And in our meetings on Thursday evenings, and people who are going through one of our 10 different conscious recovery certified treatment programs, that number is about to grow dramatically. I mean, we're in negotiation with multiple treatment programs right now, where it's going to be a modality of treatment that's offered around this country and then eventually around the world, looking at it as something that can enhance what someone's already doing. And that's what I want to say that I think is really important. It's so easy in our dualistic world to believe it's got to be this or that. And I've had so many people that love 12-step that have said to me, oh, is this an alternative? Because I love 12-step and I don't want an alternative. Or someone that says, I don't like 12-step and I want this to be an alternative. We are really viewing this as something that can enhance what you're already doing. The people who have loved conscious recovery, there have been a few groups that have been really interesting. Someone that's around 2 or 3 years sober, maybe it's 12-step or therapy or whatever modality or support group they're using, but they're recognizing that there's something else that they want to move into. There's a deeper level for them. They've, created a sober life. They're grateful for that, but they want more connection, more love, more happiness. That was the number one group of people that grabbed onto conscious recovery first, that really loved it. The second group of people that I thought was really interesting were people that were 30 plus years sober, that had, done whatever recovery groups they've done, whatever therapy they've done a lot of the deeper work, but they want more purpose in their life. They want more meaning in their life. They recognize that they don't want to continue to see themselves as broken in some way. That was my experience. I was noticing that the people around me were saying things like, well, I'm just an effed up alcoholic who doesn't know how to live life. And for me, I'm like, I'm not affirming that. I've been part of the New Thought movement since 1988, and I realized that words have power. So I wanted to flip that script to saying, I am powerful. I am an infinite being. There are infinite possibilities in every situation. I am unharmed. I am unharmable. I am whole and perfect. And so that group of people also is just so grateful for another way to look at their life. The other group that I think I'm maybe even most grateful for is the people in treatment that are getting conscious recovery, that maybe have been to treatment 3 times, 4 times. Maybe they've been afraid to look at the trauma or the shame that's driving the addiction, and they come into treatment and they're getting the same exact thing. I know clients who said, I can run these groups. I know how to stand. I could stand up in front of the room and give a relapse prevention talk. I know exactly what the worksheets are going to be. I know how to look at my triggers and what my strategies are for those triggers. But there's something deeper happening here, and I'm perplexed why I keep relapsing. I'm perplexed why I feel better for 30 days or 60 days, and then I go back into my work situation, my relationships, my home, and I'm back to square one, feeling afraid, feeling disconnected, feeling alone, and I ultimately have been reaching back out to my addiction to try to feel relief. They're feeling like they want something different. That is the place I have the most emotion around. Going to Elevate Addiction Services, who was our first program to adopt conscious recovery, and meeting people there that did say they were in treatment for the 3rd time. And Elevate helped them, and conscious recovery really helped them to actually get down to the deeper root causes that drive addiction, while also recognizing they're not fundamentally broken. So those are the people that are part of this movement, and we're just incredibly grateful that we get to be part of the lighthouse on the hill, if you will. Right? I love the quote, lighthouses don't go looking for boats to save, they just stand there shining. And that's really about the core. That's the core of conscious recovery, right? That each of us reconnect with our essential nature. We stand in that truth. We know that to be true. That has a ripple effect in everyone we meet. Words have power. We can shift the narrative. We can shift the energy we're holding. We are not broken. We are whole and perfect. I'm excited, as you can hear, about what the infinite possibilities are, about how each of us, not me, not Jeremy, but each of us, any of you watching right now, can be part of helping shift the paradigm of how we view people with addiction, looking for the wholeness in every person we meet.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and I loved what you were saying about being in New Thought and recognizing the power of language, because, even though we put together this graphic and came up with the hashtag and we're doing all this messaging, um, I still struggle with the concept that there is a deep part of myself that is unharmed and unharmable. It is a very tough perspective to be with. It can be. And I think that I have the amount of affinity and this deep push towards this, not only for others, but for myself too.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about Elevate. I love going up there. We were up there for a training. What was that? A month ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, a month ago. I don't remember.
It's a
Um,
blur.
yeah, time during COVID it changed somehow. Um, but when we were up at Elevate last, we had a blast with the staff up there. You did a podcast with Angie in Dallas that is phenomenal. Um, and one of the things I loved about being up there was talking with the staff and talking with the clients, and they're talking conscious recovery like it's its own set of lingo, like 12-step communities, right? And it just felt like, wow, this is actually, because for us, we're so deep in on this website build and the social media and the email and all this stuff, this technical stuff, that sometimes at least for me, it's like, wow, like this is really doing something. And that's one of the things, is that feeling of like, wow, this is really doing something. I deeply hope that other people can feel that too. That, people that are in our conscious recovery meetings on Thursdays feel that empowerment. And it's not us that's empowering them, or their bracelets that empower them, or the book. It's just this great remembering of who and what they really are.
Yeah.
And I think that there's just so much beautiful energy behind that. And so even though we've been, really grinding on this website and trying to get all this done, it does feel like this incredible moment for conscious recovery, and for the two of us to be able to finally welcome everybody into this, so that we can stand arm in arm spreading this message.
Yeah, as you were talking, I was thinking back to, I'm thinking of Sophia on the Golden Girls. Picture it, Sicily, right? But picture it, 1986. I got sober in Dallas, and this is basically the message. You're broken, you're damaged, you don't know shit. There's something wrong with you. You're selfish. Sit down, shut up, listen to us. I understand that, and I can even go as far as saying maybe that's useful for some people. But what is lacking there is this new way of looking, and that is not you're broken, sit down and shut up, you're selfish, you don't know anything, I need to tell you how to live your life. But do you remember a time when you felt whole and perfect? Do you remember being a small child? Because for most of us, that's when we remember it. Do you remember feeling very connected with yourself and the world? Do you imagine, or can you imagine, that there is that place within you that still has that knowing, but maybe you forgot? Maybe you were programmed to believe there's something wrong with you, you're selfish. All those messages that we get growing up, and unfortunately in some recovery circles. And I met some people within 12-step that had a remarkably different message. My beloved Mary Helen Brownell, who was one of my first teachers, she died in 1998. She didn't actually die. She transitioned out of this level of existence. But my work is a dedication to her, because she said, you don't have to listen to what they're telling you about being selfish, self-centered, broken, damaged, because there's a place within you that is precious. That was her word. There's a place within you that's precious. And it took me many, many years to recognize that and understand that, not from a place of good, bad, right, wrong, but from a place of what gets created when I'm looking at myself as broken. And what are the infinite possibilities of beginning to recognize there was that place within me that was still precious. And recovery was about unlearning all the stuff that I put on top of that light. Not about learning, not about having someone tell me how to live my life. And again, that can have a place, But there is a place for each of us in our recovery, in our life, in our spiritual growth, where it's time for us to step into a different awareness. We often hear, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And now I say, when the student is really ready, the teacher will disappear. That's what happened for me, right? Mary Helen moved out of this plane of existence, but her consciousness, her energy, her frequency is alive within me. Her profound messages of wholeness, of returning to that precious place, have become a part of my life that has had this profound effect. And that's what I want for everyone on the planet. Because I do hear people struggling. I do see it. I do see people posting and talking about how they feel broken, they feel damaged. And I just want to just wrap my arms around them and say, what if there's a place within you that's precious? How do we become curious about reconnecting with that? As Jeremy said, the great remembering, and again, it's not to deny the other aspects of our being, but it's to recognize that when we start with the fundamental understanding that there's a place within us, an essential place that is whole and perfect, that becomes a starting point. And then from there, we can start to look at all the stuff, right? My behavior has been absurd sometimes. I did need to be accountable for it. Sometimes people hear us saying, well, you're whole and perfect. You don't need to clean up your past. You don't need to be accountable for anything. On the contrary, when I know that I'm whole and perfect, I can see that 100% of the time, when I harmed myself and others, it's when I had forgotten that truth. I'd forgotten my essential nature. I had believed in my own brokenness. Hurt people hurt people. And I did a lot of that. And I wish I could tell you it was only in my drinking and using, but I did a lot of that in my recovery. Why is that important? It's important because when I believed I was broken and I was trying to forgive myself and others, life was a struggle. It was difficult. I couldn't move past it. I couldn't forgive myself. I couldn't forgive others. But when I recognized that there's a place within me that is whole and perfect and unharmable, that starting point then created my ability to look at how my separation from that truth is what caused harm. And that forgiveness, compassion, and love are simply returning to that place of wholeness. And then I can have love for myself and all the absurd behavior. I had my umbilical cord in my hand trying to plug into someone or something to feel whole again. I actually think that's what addiction is. I'm trying to feel less of this or more of that. I'm trying to feel whole again. So we're offering a different approach, starting with the simple recognition that you are unharmable. And that simple recognition changes everything. Because when I understand that, that's powerful. When I get it emotionally, that's even more powerful. But when I really get it deep within me, oh my gosh, there is this place that's unharmable. Everything changes. And, as the saying goes, it can take a lifetime and it can happen in an instant. And that's really what we're wanting to spread, that message that in this instant, you can recognize that you are whole and perfect. And that we can call off the search and rest in a deeper reality that's always been one breath away within us.
I love that. Beautifully said. And I think as we come to a close today, what I wanted to leave people with, as if that wasn't enough, is really an invitation. And that is an invitation to offer us feedback on the movement and the new site, of course. And but beyond that, I think the invitation really is for you watching to ask the question whether or not we recognize this deep place within us that is unharmable. And if this is something that you're interested in, philosophically believe in and want to encourage others to be curious about as well, reach out to us. I think that this is such an important time culturally. I think we're all 2020. Say what you will about it, but I think regardless of what opinion is held about the year 2020, I think universally we can agree that there is a massive shift happening. And I feel this very deep yearning from our society and culturally to really look at how things have been and whether or not they're continuing to serve us. And so I'm personally really excited to usher this in as we come to a close in 2020. And what I envision is in 2021, I see people wearing their unharmable bracelets, and I see people from all different walks of life. I see people in 12-step communities and refuge recovery communities. I see alumni from all our partnered programs like Elevate and Azure Acres and the camp, and I see professionals like Jen Carvalho and TJ Sachdev and all these people that we hold so dearly. I see us all uniting, not behind conscious recovery necessarily, but behind the principles that it stands for, and behind the unharmable movement, behind this really deep recognition that we are okay, that we've always been okay, and we always will be okay, and this connection deeply with ourselves. I think in 2021 we're going to see some massive transformation.
Without a doubt. And in closing, what I want to say is this movement is your movement. Whoever you are, wherever you've been, whatever stage of recovery you are in or not, our intention for Unharmable and the Unharmable movement is going to be much bigger than conscious recovery or people in recovery. This is a message that we're spreading around the world. We have a vision to create a documentary, to write a book. So what I want to say is that this movement is yours, and we invite you to spread the word of what it means to be unharmable, to create communities, to create partnerships, to reconnect with your essential nature, and to help us spread this word, whether you go to unharmable.com or consciousrecovery.com. There is a movement that's underway, and the ripple is there, and we're now ready to ride the wave into 2021 and into a new way of being and seeing. And you are part of this movement. This movement is you. I feel so energized by it. And what we really want and what we're asking you to be a part of is spreading this word. Use the hashtag unharmable in the way that you want to spread the word of what it means to reconnect with your essential beingness. That maybe life doesn't have to be difficult. Maybe that simple recognition will change the trajectory of your life right here in this moment, that you are part of the ripple and you are part of the wave. So I just want to close with gratitude, huge gratitude for you, Jeremy. You've put hours and hours into this website. It's going to be tweaked and enhanced, but what we want to say is, I want to say thank you to you, Jeremy, but most of all, thank you to all of you, our treatment partners, anyone who's considering bringing conscious recovery to their treatment program, reach out to us. We're ready. We're ready for this to be a wave across our country and across the world into a new way of being and seeing. So thank you, everyone, for watching today. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this movement. And of course, Jeremy, I'm so grateful for you and for your yes to your calling.
Absolutely, TJ. The feeling is mutual. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the work with conscious recovery. And to everybody that joined us today, thank you so much. And we're excited to release the site, and I'm excited to send out some bracelets. So let's do this thing together. And TJ and I are going to keep you posted on our progress, and we'll check in with you guys every so often about the movement, and we'll keep breathing life into it, keep breathing energy into it, and together we will change the world.